Hey, welcome back, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to Wolf Bitcoin and these live Bitcoin and crypto market analysis sessions that we do here on X and YouTube. We're back on YouTube again. But yeah, welcome back. Good to have you. Excited to pull up some charts again today and see if there's any new bits and pieces of information that we can look at, that we can use to gain maybe a little bit of insight or a little bit of edge as to what is happening in these crypto markets. As usual, guys, as you're coming in here, please, if you wouldn't mind, if it's not too much to ask, we'd highly appreciate if you enjoy this type of content and you're coming in here and you're looking forward to this session, give us a like, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, engage in the chat, give a repost if you would be so kind. Give a repost and share this out. Just let's share this out. We're trying to grow this community here. We're trying to grow this audience of people here on Wolf Bitcoin that are interested in the technical side of these markets, the chart analysis side of the markets. We're already, I think we're doing an amazing job with the spaces that are hosted every single day, the trader and market talk spaces that are hosted on X. Those are amazing, but one of the limitations to that format is that you just don't get the visual. You don't get the visual, man. You can't see what we're talking about. You don't get to see this beautiful thing here. So let's build up a community of people that are interested in looking at the chart while we're talking about these markets. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to break it down. There's a lot of content out there on the fundamentals of Bitcoin and the macro and the economics and all of that. There's plenty of that. I think there's definitely an audience for that. But you know what? Like my passion and what my interest is looking at the chart, is looking at the technicals and looking at the levels here and figuring out how we can best position and play this market and these crypto markets. So with that, as always, everything we share on here is just for education, entertainment, just for a laugh. It's, we're not making any buying or selling recommendations. We're not giving any kind of financial advice. Investing and trading is risky. You're likely to lose some money, if not all of your money. So the best thing you can do is you got to level up. You got to get educated. You got to learn to do your own analysis. You got to go consult with the right people. Don't just be following random people on the internet. Even those of us in the Wolf crew, in the Wolf community, you still got to go do your own due diligence, do your own research, and build your own strategies. Come up with a plan for yourself. The best thing you can do is have a plan. So with that, huge shout out to the show sponsor, Public, for continuing to make these shows and this kind of content a possibility. So a lot of appreciation to Public. You can check them out at public.com/wolf. Public is the investing and trading agentic brokerage for those who take it seriously, guys. So if you're into AI, if you're seeing what people are building with this technology, the strategies that people are forming, whether it's short-term, long-term strategies, and you're wondering, how can I put something like that to work for my portfolio, then you want to go take a look at public.com/wolf, because you can turn any idea into an investable index with AI on Public. So go check that out. Thousands of stocks, crypto, plenty of things for you to look at and for you to get involved with over on Public. So options, bonds, all of that, man, incredible stuff. Go check them out, public.com/wolf, and support the show sponsor, support the people that support us. So with that, guys, I feel like when I do that, I can't help it. I'm reminded of Gary Vee. from the early days when it was the Gary V show or whatever it used to be, right? I just can't help it how he would open up and he'd say, "Let's get into the show," and that was like a thing, right? And he'd just say it on every freaking vlog or whatever that was. But yeah, shout out to Gary V, man. One of the OG content creators, huh? Cool. Let me make sure these comments are working. Let me make sure everything's good to go. You guys can hear me. Yeah, hopefully we should be good. Cool. All right. Well, look, let's get into it. Let's get into it. We got BTC on the daily on the screen right now. And you know what? Let me actually go full screen here real quick. Boom. There we go. So we got BTC on the daily. Nasty, nasty sell off the last few days. But so far, look, there's been a little bit of relief. A little bit of relief here. Still not really seeing major signs of reversal on the daily. Other than the fact that these, there are still some trap traders slightly below here, meaning people that shorted into this move down, they are still here based on just looking at the technical chart here. They are still underwater here in this position. If they were holding this trade, right, this short here, and they didn't get liquidated or stopped out, those positions are still technically underwater here. And so the idea is that, as price comes down, it allows these positions to essentially get out at break even, right? And usually a lot of times when people close positions like that, it ends up being kind of the point where you get a bit of a reversal. Not all the time, but sometimes it does happen, funny enough. But look, the fact that we're potentially leaving some trap traders here for later tells me that we could be in for a little bit of a relief pump, and then that comes back and gets them later. It's not guaranteed, but I do want to cover on this stream today what that could look like and what the criteria is that I am personally watching in order to take this relief pump trade, right? How would it look if I wanted to take a long from somewhere down here? And where am I targeting? Where in all of this, like, am I targeting, or even higher, right? Where am I targeting? And what are we basing that off of? So we're gonna break that down today. I've already shared some of this on the spaces this morning, but again, like when we don't have the chart to look at, it's not the same thing. It's hard to picture it. So this hopefully should bring this idea together, and then we'll see how it holds. This could be something that. Number one, the criteria for this is simply not met. Like, that could happen. The conditions that I'm going to share that I'm looking for to take the long trade, they simply don't show up. Those conditions are not met, and therefore there is no long trade to be taken, and we don't take it. The other option or alternative that could happen is that that criteria is met, and then it still fails anyways. It doesn't play out fully. It still goes to the downside, and we get stopped down. We take a bit of a loss here on a trade like this, and or it hits and it plays out, right? It could hit and it could play out beautifully. So we want to explore that, and we want to build essentially game plans for those different scenarios. So let's do this. Like, there's going to be some levels that I'm going to highlight, and here I'll just I'll turn these on. So I'm going to draw your attention to essentially probably three, actually. We'll do two, maybe three key levels to watch here on this Bitcoin daily chart, right? These are the key levels that I'm going to be looking at to potentially take a trade from down here. Now, if you're just DCAing, if you're just buying, if you're just the Bitcoin stacker, right? You're a Satoshi stacker, you're just buying, you just DCA on dips like this doesn't really apply to you. This doesn't apply to you. This is for the people that are trading it, right? This is for the traders, whether you're doing scalps or you're doing swings. Like, if you're a trader, I think some of this may be valuable to you. So I'm going to pull up three levels here, and then we're going to stretch them out here a little bit. Hold on, let me do that. Okay. That's the first one. That's the second one. That's the third one. Okay. So we have our 3 levels. Now we're on the daily chart. So each of these candles, each of these bars here represents a whole day of price action, right? This was Monday. This was all of Tuesday. This here was Wednesday. Today, currently Thursdays is open, and it has 3 hours and 41 minutes remaining before this one closes and the new daily candle opens up. So what I've done here is I've actually gone and highlighted the bottom of the previous day. So that's previous day low, PDL, right here. And then I've highlighted the top of the previous day as well, previous day high, right? And that's very simply looking at yesterday's daily candle, the Wednesday daily candle, and just simply saying, where's the high? Where's the low for that candle, for this candle here? Okay. This is what we're looking at here. So I put some lines here, just essentially anchored to the bottom and to the top. The other that I also marked on here is the previous week high. So if we go to the weekly chart, we can look at, and actually, this is actually still the current week. So I marked it as previous week. We're not there yet. This is actually, let me fix that. This is the current week high, right? So this is currently the high of this week. What we should mark out, though, while we're here is let's mark out previous week low. Previous week low. There we go. Perfect. Good catch, man. Good catch. All right. I knew you guys would call that out if I didn't catch it. So I needed to catch that. All right, cool. So we're looking at these levels here. So we got the low of the previous week, the current high of this week, okay, the high of the previous day, and the low of the previous day, right? So this gives us some ranges to watch here and some potential targets, and I'll break that down here in a minute. So what I'm looking for here is if today's daily candle, this one that's currently in progress that has 3 hours and 40 minutes remaining, if today's daily candle can manage to close above yesterday's low, above this level that we highlighted here, there is a potential that we see a move up into that previous day range, potentially to the high of the previous day, and maybe even beyond that, right? You could have essentially like a mean reversion trade that shows up here, right? It's not guaranteed, but there's a likelihood. There's a decent likelihood that could happen. And a lot of that is going to be contingent on how this closes. Specifically, it needs to close within that previous day range. So if we get that, then essentially what I'm looking for is the potential for a trade that looks something like this, right? At least up to about here. Potentially, it could go up to last week's low. It really could. It could come up here towards last week's low, somewhere below current week high. This would be totally possible. The likelihood is a different argument, and I think people have to build individual cases to try and assign a likelihood to that. You have to do your own research and say, okay, based on everything, based on this data, based on all of these other things, what kind of likelihood am I assigning to that? But it's a potential. But for me, really, I mean, you're kind of focused on just a mean reversion from this type of move here with a nice big wick to the downside, potentially closing inside the previous day, and then making a move at least to the high of the previous day, and potentially into this imbalance right here. There's a massive imbalance. You can see from where this wick ends down here, this first candle, this first red candle from Monday, where that candle ended here at the bottom, the low, down to where this previous day here, so yesterday's high was formed. There's a huge imbalance. There's an imbalance here between the end of that first candle and the beginning of this third one here. So 1, 2, 3, right? And there's a huge imbalance here where the wicks are not touching. Candle 1 does not overlap with candle 3. So, we can mark that out here simply with a box here and just say, look, we're looking for a move somewhere inside of here. Somewhere inside of here, this is a zone of inefficiency where price moved extremely quickly through this range. And there's a good chance that we see price move back up into this inefficiency zone, even if ultimately the overall direction is to continue lower. we definitely could see price move somewhere into this zone here to basically balance out or take care of that inefficiency in the market. So this would be a mean reversion type trade that we'd be looking at, but the conditions are simple, right? Number one, this needs to close above previous day low. And the second condition would be that the new candle, the new daily candle that opens up, cannot break below this, cannot go below the current low. Going below this current low is what we would call an invalidation. It invalidates this trade idea. So the new candle needs to close above this low, or needs to not breach below this low, and it needs to just close somewhere up here. If it goes all the way up on that candle, that's fine. Let me actually show you here on this Bitcoin daily chart a couple examples of where we've seen a similar move in the past, so you guys can just quickly visualize what I'm talking about. So I'm going to use the replay mode really quickly so we can go back in time. And I'm going to show you a very, very clean example of what this looks like. So let's go into replay, and we're going to pull it back here. We're going to pull it back into here. And you can see here, we went all the way back to February 22nd here on this Bitcoin chart. So Feb 22nd, let's slow this down a little bit here. And we're going to hit play. We're going to hit play on this historical chart. So we see that Bitcoin is sweeping some lows, right? Bitcoin is sweeping some lows here. So this candle is taking out some lows. So this is already a candle that's moving into a key area. Why? Because there was liquidity here below these lows, right? So it took out some lows. So it's already doing something significant. And then we see that candle. All right. So this candle printed, you opened up a new daily candle. The new daily candle moves below this one. So we're going to call this one candle 1. Right, we're going to call that candle 1. Let's actually get a little text thingy here. We're going to call this candle 1. Okay. And let me actually make this a little bit smaller in size because we do not need this big of a label. So we're going to call this purple candle candle 1. And currently, this one down here is candle 2. Okay. This is candle 2 currently down here. That's in progress. Okay. So you can see on this that candle 1, took out some lows, right? Took out some key lows, and candle 2 sweeps the low of candle 1. Candle 2 sweeps the low of candle 1, right? We can see that. Okay. Here, I'll zoom in a little bit more. Okay. So candle 2 sweeps the low of candle 1, but it closes above that low, right? It's closing above the low of candle 1. Okay. So meaning that the body on the candle is not down here. It's above it. It's above that low. So then if we hit play, what we're looking for in this scenario is the low of candle 2 to not be breached. And we're looking for the potential of a move back to the beginning of candle 1. This is essentially the setup we're looking for. We're looking for a trade that comes back up to the beginning of candle 1 based on this 3 candle reversal here that might happen, right? So let's watch that. Candle 3 can dip down. It can dip down a little bit. It could even come a little bit below candle 1. No big deal. It just needs to not go below candle 2, and then it needs to expand in the opposite direction. So let's hit play. Let's see if that's what we get. Boom. There's your candle number 3. Okay. So this is now candle 3. What did candle 3 do? Candle 3 didn't even take out the low of candle 1, right? Didn't even take the low of candle 1 in this case. Sometimes it does. Doesn't have to. But it moved back up to the top of candle 1 and then some. So this is a full move executed here on that 3 candle setup. Now, let me show you something. Okay. Is that not exactly what happened over here as well? Candle 1, candle 2. What does candle 2 do? Sweeps the low. Candle 2 sweeps the low of candle 1, right? And then what does candle 3 do? Candle 3 explodes and goes back to the top of candle 1. Right? Is that not what we saw there? What if I told you that it happened here as well? candle 1. There's your low of candle 1. Candle 2 sweeps the low of candle 1, but closes above it. Same as here, sweeps the low of candle 1, but closes above it. Candle 3 does not take out candle 2's low. Candle 3 does not take out candle 2's low. Instead, what do you see? Instead, you saw price move back up towards the top of candle 1. So there's 3 examples for you back to back of this exact setup. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Three setups right there. So let's actually exit the replay mode here. And let's clean up all that stuff I just drew on here. Okay. All right, there we go. So using what I just covered, right, and applying it here to this move. Okay. Number 1, did we just take out a key level of interest? Yes, we did. Did we take out some key lows? Like, did this move here take out some key lows? Yes. Not only did you take that out, you also took this out, right? You took out key areas here. Boom, boom. 2 key lows swept, liquidity taken. It's a move of significance. Okay. So that checks off the first thing that we're looking for. Then we say, okay, is candle 2 below candle 1? Yes, it currently is. If this closes, again, the requirement, this is the requirement. If this doesn't happen, then it's invalid. This candle needs to close back above candle 1. So if it can close back up here above candle 1, then we're looking for candle 3 to expand at least up to the beginning of candle 1. 1, 2, 3. And it can go higher. It doesn't have to stop at the top of candle 1. It can continue a little bit higher. So, and this is not something that I invented. I'm not trying to take credit for this. This is a framework that a lot of people cover. A lot of schools of trading have taught it through different language, whether it's turtle soup, power of 3, candle range theory, accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Like there's people call it all kinds of things. But at the end of the day, it's just a way to spot when a trend is reversing, even in the short term, even if it's just in the short term. So, and it happens to the top side, it happens to the downside. Here's an example of one that happened to the opposite direction. Candle 1 went up, candle 2 sweeps it, closes inside of it, candle 3 goes down, sweeps the beginning of that candle 1. So you see it there. There's a couple other examples. If you study this, you'll find quite a few actually. So that's what I'd be looking for. Again, my condition though is we got to get a close above that previous day low. If we don't get that, it's, in my opinion, it's unlikely that we're going to get the setup. At that point, if this closes down here, I think it's more likely that, okay, so here's the bear scenario. If this doesn't close above that and we don't get the setup for higher, I think it's more likely that the new day opens, sweeps this day here, and then just continues lower and ultimately takes out lows. So you still get a little bit of a bounce, but it's just going to be very muted. It's not going to go up here to the targets we're talking about. I mean, you're probably just looking at a move to 65, somewhere around there. And then it would roll over 65, maybe 66 if you're lucky. Right. So that's the alternative. But we'll see. I don't know if it's going to meet these conditions, but if it does, I am looking for a move up here. And, you know, I don't think this is the low and that we're getting new all-time highs. This is a mean reversion. It's a mean reversion. If price moves back up here to some of these upper levels of interest, I would be looking for a short. I would be looking for a short again, because I do believe that overall Bitcoin is still heading lower in the short term, right? In the near term, I do believe we are still heading lower. And the main reason for that is if you go look at the monthly chart, I mean, the monthly chart is just screaming, right? Like just look at that sell pressure there. Go look at the quarterly chart. This to me is still saying that there's a really good chance it wants to sweep previous quarter low, at least. That still has a lot of downside pressure. Look at the 6-month chart. This does not look like a reversal candle here on the 6-month chart. It just does not. This looks like this still wants to head down here to the bottom of this candle, which is closer to 49K. But it doesn't have to go there this week. It doesn't have to go there in a straight line. It could have relief. It could be choppy. It could be choppy. So I don't know. I'm just looking at this. That's just my read on the chart currently. We'll see if it plays out. You know, if we start zooming in, we are still kind of just ranging here. Again, very simply, like on the 1 hour, let's cover this exact same idea on the 1 hour. If we come back here and we turn on these trend lines that we're watching, right? We turn on some of this stuff here that we're looking at. Essentially, hold on, let me clean these up because they are too far. Let me pull these back a little bit. Give me a sec here, guys. Let me just clean this up for us so that we can look at this a little easier, a little better. Okay. So this is the setup, right? Like let's just simply look at the setup. The idea that we're considering here is that in the next, what's left on the day? 3 hours and 26. All right. So in the next 3 hours and 26 minutes, doesn't matter what's really happening down here. Ideally, you don't want to take out, you know, these lows here. You kind of want to preserve that structure. Definitely don't want to take this low out, the selling climax. Definitely don't want to take that out. But ideally, in the next 3 hours and 26 minutes, we want to see price closing above previous day low. And then when the new day opens up, right? When the new daily candle opens up, sometime here before Asia comes online, around the time that they do, when that new daily candle opens up, that new daily candle can come back down initially. It can come back down for a little bit. It just should not breach the low back here that was put in yesterday. Should not breach that. So even if this pulls back, no problem. But then we would be expecting that it would distribute and expand to the upside up here near the previous day high. So this is essentially what we would be looking for. Does it have to pull back when the new daily candle opens? No, it does not. It's just there's a chance that it probably will. It doesn't have to. And this move could. I mean, this move, once it comes up into this inefficiency zone that we talked about, takes out the previous day high, moves up into the gap, it could move somewhere, you know, close to that 50% of it and then reject and come back down. Or it could, you know, it could go for this previous week low, current week high kind of area. You know, it definitely can. And it could still come back down. It doesn't mean that this bottom is going to stick in the long run. It doesn't mean that 60K was the low. This is just a mean reversion. It's a bounce because of how aggressively the market is sold off. I'm not seeing, if this was going to go significantly higher, if these lows were going to stick here, we would have seen a lot more buy pressure and buy volume show up here on this climax. And it just hasn't. You had a little bit here, right? You had this green spike here on the actual climax itself, but this should have moved away. This should have moved away from that low already. If that was going to be a bottom, it should have moved away. After taking those key levels that it took, after taking the liquidity that it took, that should have moved away with some speed, especially after slicing through this, slicing through that. This should have been moving away from that if this was going to be a significant low. And it just hasn't done it yet. Doesn't mean it can't. It just hasn't done it. So I'm not convinced yet that that is anything significant other than this mean reversion trade that might set up. And then we still see prices head lower. So that's just my opinion. I don't know if you guys have any takes on that, but that's what I'm personally watching for and considering here. Zero Maced says that these streams are sus because all talk, no action. Yeah, this is not a live trading session. This is just a read on the market. It is market analysis. So we're just taking a read on the market, giving my my take, my read, my opinions on what's happening. But I mean, if you follow my personal page, you will see that I do act on a lot of this stuff. I do post before and after stuff. I do, you know, I'll throw up the occasional P&L as well. So, you know, that is there. That is there. And even if I didn't take any action on these trades, if I'm calling them correctly, if I'm giving you a good read on the market, it's still good analysis, right? It's still good actionable analysis that if it plays out and it has a good hit rate, it's still valid in my opinion, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, you got to go do your own research. Go do your own research. You shouldn't be trading anything that I'm saying, anything that anyone on the internet is saying, you should be doing your own research. You should be learning how to read these markets yourself, coming up with your own trade style, doing your own thing. So, but I mean, look, today I gave a very, very actionable setup. I gave you all the conditions of how you would enter it, where the invalidation is, where the targets are. I just gave you a full setup if you know how to pay attention to what I'm saying. I gave you a full trade setup, entry criteria, area that you'd be looking to enter, where your invalidation needs to go, roughly where you're targeting. You know, you can probably extrapolate where some take profits make sense based on all of this. So, yeah. Haters gonna hate, says William. That's right, man. That's right, man. Some people are just miserable, dude. Some people are miserable. They're never happy with anything. And that's just, I'm not a people pleaser, man. I do my thing, man. I do my thing. Some people love it. Some people hate it. If you don't like it, you can move on. You can move on. Go find something you like. No reason for us to be in the same room if we can't get along. You can move on. Go find a room you enjoy more. All right. Let's see here. Funny enough, he's following me, but yeah. Look, I mean, hopefully, again, I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to stir the pot. I don't want to have beef with anyone. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm pretty peaceful. I value my peace, man, more than anything. But yeah, I mean, this is just keeping it real. This is an analysis stream that we do. It's a market read. It's not a live trade session. I'm not going to be pulling up an exchange and showing entries and exits and flaunting dollar signs. Not to mention, I'm too old for that stuff, man. It just isn't my style. I'm just not that kind of guy, man. I'm not that kind of guy. That type of stuff, in my opinion, attracts a very specific personality and a very specific type of person, and it's not the type of person that I am looking to attract. I want people that want knowledge. That I'm more of a teach a man to fish type of guy instead of let me show you my fish and then or let me give you a fish. Like, no, like you go do you. You go do you. You got to go level up. Leveling up is what matters. Phil's in the DMs. Yeah, Phil watching some of the same areas I'm kind of watching. 100%, man. 100%. Yes, Phil's perfectly aligned. Shout out to Phil. Shout out to Phil, man. Nat. That is so funny, Nat. I'm looking at your banner thing you sent me. That's so funny. What else we got here in the messages? Oh yeah, looks like I'll be joining Landy tomorrow for a stream at 8 p.m. Eastern. That'll be cool. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, any questions on any of this stuff though? I mean, hopefully this makes sense. We'll see if we get the signal. If we get the signal, guys, I'm taking the trade. We get the signal, I'm taking the trade. I'll share it once it's live. But yeah, if we get the signal here, if we get the trigger, I should say, if we get the trigger, I'm taking this trade. I'm taking this trade. What does the trade look like in terms of RR? Well, if you only get it up to here, it's a little bit over a 1R trade, right? So you're trading about a 4% risk for a 5% reward. Maybe you could dial this up a little bit, right? Like maybe you could tweak that, get a little tighter. If it comes up here into, a little bit past 50% of this inefficiency, you are close to a 2R. You are close to a 2R trade. If we were able to get a move all the way up to previous week low, then that is a full 3R trade. That's beautiful. A little bit over a 4% risk for about a 13% reward. It's not bad at all. Again, and this isn't accounting for leverage, right? If you're doing this on 10x, 20x, 50x, you just got to do your multiplication here and you can figure out what that looks like for you. But this might be the trade that this might be the move we're looking for. And again, though, if we get up here, I likely would be shopping for short exposure once again, getting some more short exposure off of a move like that. So we'll see if we get it, man. Yo, what's up, Ash? We got Ash in the house. What's up? What's up? What is up? But yeah, I mean, I encourage you guys, like when you're watching this stuff, you should be following up and seeing if people are, because a lot of people do streams, a lot of people do content. You should be looking to see if people are taking action on this stuff, if people are consistent with it. You should be looking to see if if these things are actually playing out. There's a lot of people around here that delete tweets. They delete when they're on the wrong side of it. A lot of folks. There's a lot of folks that are doing it. So just be careful with that. There's a lot of people that don't cover both sides of a trade. One of the things that I always like to focus on is I do give you guys the invalidation, the criteria. I give you guys the bull case, the bear case. Like we like to cover all of that. We're here for education. We're here to level up. We're here to become better analysts and traders every single day, to become smarter participants in the market. And we're doing that together. We're doing that together here on these streams. We're building a really cool community, a good group of people that are jumping into these all the time. And that's what it's all about. What's up, Darren? What's up, brother? Good to have you, man. Ash, you missed most of it, man. You missed about 40% of it or something like that. You guys both missed it, man. So replay gang today for both of you guys. Yo, what's up? Who is this? Marlon? Is that correct? Yeah, Marlon. Very cool. When did you start trading? Well, it's kind of it wasn't a linear progression, I guess you could say, but I got significantly more serious about it in 2019. I was first exposed to Forex and investing and stock market and all that stuff around, what would this have been? 2010, maybe? It may have been as early as 2009, but definitely 2010, 2012, somewhere in there. Found Bitcoin. Well, took a serious look at Bitcoin, I should say. In 2017, I had someone pitch me Bitcoin probably around 2013, 14. And, it was one of those where it was just the person telling me about it wasn't someone that I took very serious. And the way they explained it wasn't in a way that made a lot of sense to me. So I brushed it off. But then when someone else, right? This is why it matters. This is why the exposure matters, and who tells you about things matter, and the way they tell you about them matter. In 2017, this was probably April-ish, maybe of 2017. I had a good friend who was, the entrepreneur, business owner, family guy, like all the things that that I paid more attention to versus like the gamer kid in the basement, that's they're just different, totally different avatars and personalities and characters, right? But this other guy tells me about it, and I'm like, are you serious? Okay, well, I've heard of it, I haven't looked at it. And so he gives me like, here, go watch these 3 documentaries and go read this book or whatever, right? Gave me basically the homework. And I spend, the next few weeks or month or so doing the homework on Bitcoin, and became a Bitcoiner in 2017. It must have been probably around June time, maybe something like that. Maybe May, but it was around June or so. Bought my first Bitcoin back then, and then and look, that's also where I had already been exposed to investing in stocks and the TradFi world, because I was working. I had a 401k. I was saving. I was trying to understand where this money was going. I remember opening an account with what was it, Fidelity maybe? Can't remember back at the time, and buying Apple back then, which was like dirt cheap, man, back then, 2010, 2012. And then I remember reading about Forex and trying to learn the Forex on my own for a little bit. And then I kind of gave up on it. I got distracted. Life happens. And, I didn't really spend a whole lot of time, but I had learned some basics. I had learned how to read a chart. I understood time frames, candlesticks, stuff like that. But definitely had no skill by any measure. And, anyways, it was, it was really after round tripping my Bitcoin bag that I was like, man, I got to figure this stuff out. Like, how did this thing pump from, because I think I bought my Bitcoin at it was sub 5K. It might have been maybe 4,000, 4,000 or something like that. But I bought my BTC, got all excited, top blasted. I was buying on the way up, all the way up to, that 19K, whatever the high was. And like most retail guys, I was buying the pumps. I was like, oh man, it's pumping. I need to buy. And then it'd dip a little bit and then it would pump again and I'd buy again. And I round tripped the whole thing all the way to the bottom. Couldn't believe it. I was like, how did this thing go from, near 20K down to 5K and then 3K? And just, it blew my mind. Figured out that I didn't know enough about these markets and that I needed to. So I spent the next couple of years basically paying for, I bought some courses. I took some seminars. I hired some people that, some of them good, some of them bad, that were, traders or coaches. And I got some help with that. But yeah, and a lot of it was just putting in the time, just a ton of time in front of the charts. And every free moment I had was basically spent in front of the charts trying to figure this stuff out. So there's a lot of good mentors in that process. Shout out to Christopher Inks at Texas West Capital. You guys can still follow him. He's pretty active still this day at Texas West, at TX West Capital. Christopher Inks, you can guys follow him. But yeah, he's still active. He's still teaching people. He's got a nice community. And he was one of those guys from back then, like in 2018, I think, 2019, that was pretty local to me. We were actually living in the same part of the country, same part of the state. And he was doing a lot of teaching online. So he was one of the first strong influences. But yeah, got a lot of exposure back then. And then just spent a few years just kind of honing my craft. In around 2019, 2020, I also found another mentor that was really, really impactful. This guy basically brought like 20 years of TradFi market experience doing futures, US futures. And this guy gave me so many breakthroughs, just understanding. This is actually where I learned, started implementing the volume profile. He was a big volume profile trader, high time frame zones off the weekly. So he'd build his high time frame zones off the weekly. He'd play those. Really started to look at heavily into like buy sell volume analysis and understanding trap moves into ranges. So liquidity sweeps, just a bunch of stuff. I got so many breakthroughs from that guy. Shout out to Brian for that. And yeah, and then just over time, like it's just a bunch of people have contributed to it. So, and I just keep trying to learn. I'm a learn, do, teach kind of guy. So I'll learn something, I'll practice it relentlessly. I'll start implementing it, and then I like to share the results of that and share the process of doing that. So, yeah, that's kind of the story there. I don't know if that answers your question. Let's see here. Heard your take on space an hour or two ago. You think we could rally? Yeah, I'm watching for it. Well, I would go back, and if you missed the beginning of, if you missed the first like 30 minutes of this is kind of where I covered it. But I'm talking about what this trade might look like here if we get it, and what the criteria is for this to play out, and where I'm looking, all of that stuff, and validation. So covered that here. Talked about it on the spaces as well. But if we don't get it, if this doesn't set up, then this is not happening. If this doesn't set up, then likely what is happening would look something more like, if that doesn't play out, then likely I think we're probably dealing with something more like, yeah, maybe something more like where this comes down, does something like this, goes there, and then you still have a move lower. Maybe something like that. In that case, look, if you're a short trader, maybe there's an opportunity here on a move above that previous day, you probably need to be pretty generous with the stop initially. But maybe there's a short to be had here that you can position for that next leg, however deep that next leg goes. I'll be watching it. I'm not yet sure if I'm looking for the short trade. I typically don't like to try and position short after something like this has already played out. The short was up here, which we talked about for months, even back here as early as the beginning of April. We talked about that setup. We shared it publicly. So on the timeline, we shared this exact short for a long time. We gave the exact entry. We gave the invalidation. And we sat tight. We waited for price to come up into the range we wanted. And this stink. I mean, guys, this is the exact trade. This is the exact trade that I shared back like April 5th, I think is what it was. Exact trade that I shared April 5th. I got to update it today with the results of this, but and I've just been taking profits on that short position on the way down. Took some profit yesterday evening. And look, if it comes down lower, we'll TP it again. We'll hit it again. So I'm happy to add to it again. If this pumps back up, I am happy to add to this and see if we can get a move lower. Yeah, this was all shared in advance. We've shared it on these streams. We've been talking about that setup on these streams for the last 2 months probably, on these streams live and on my personal streams, all of which are recorded, all of which you can go back and watch. We've given updates on spaces that I'm on every single day with Wolf Bitcoin, which are also recorded. And a lot of the folks that come here and are in the comments right now are witnesses to that because they've been listening to that. They're in the DM groups where we're talking about that. They are on these streams watching all of this play out. So yeah, I'm pretty transparent. I don't delete anything. I share what I'm doing, what I'm thinking. When I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I own it. And yeah, it just is what it is. I'm really just here to share the journey. I'm just documenting and I'm just trying to improve every single day, trying to improve. Either way, you think we chop down? Yeah, still will. I'm still of the opinion that I still think that over the coming months, likely to still head lower. How much lower? Who knows? But lower from here. Key levels for me I'm definitely looking for a sweep of 60. So I'm looking at somewhere around, I'd say like the next big zone I'd be paying attention to is like 48 to 52, somewhere around there, 48 to 52. If that area didn't hold and we went lower than that, then I'm probably looking around 38 to like 42, somewhere down there is that next area. But what's one level at a time, 1 week at a time, one zone at a time. Ash says he's happy he didn't long last night. Still haven't seen what I wanted yet. Yeah, dude, it's not quite ready yet, but that could come in. The only reason I'm paying attention is because the wick on this daily candle right here, the wick on this daily candle, I am waiting to see if we get that close above previous day low, man. I will definitely get in the game. I will definitely get in the game. And I'm, it's, if you get stopped, you get stopped, but the setup sets up. I take the trade, man. The setup sets up, I push the button. Plain and simple. Exactly, Darren. It has absolutely held that as of right now, that is still the climax of the move. That is still valid. If we get this close on the daily candle above previous day low, that's the second confirmation that to me, it starts to tell me, all right, look, I'm willing to take a shot on this, at least for a move up to previous day high, but probably up into that gap that we've got marked on the chart. Maybe even up to that previous week, man. That'd be a heck of a move up to that previous week. I think the 70, 72-ish zone makes a lot of sense. So Ash wanted to see a little more follow through. See if we can perhaps if we can get it perhaps into the weekend. Maybe, man. Maybe. What's up, Cade? What's up? But that's where we stand, fellas. That's what we're looking at. We can quickly look at Bitcoin dominance. Had a nice sweep here to the downside. Also looks like it wants to come up, right? So when Bitcoin dominance is heading higher, Bitcoin's price tends to also be moving in that direction. And if you look at Bitcoin dominance minus stables, you just had a sweep of previous quarter low. So, if this were to be able to pump back up here and close back above that previous quarter low, I think that also gives me a little bit more confidence that maybe we're going to try and trickle up a little bit here. Maybe it goes for that quarterly open somewhere in here, and then we see continuation of the downside. If we look at stablecoin dominance, stablecoin dominance still hasn't taken out these highs from, what is that, Feb? Yeah, so it still hasn't taken out the highs. It's pretty close. So, we'll watch this as well. Had a similar type of climax here, right? Similar type of climax here. All the gentleman suite markers went off for trend exhaustion on the 1 hour. Let's see if they're there on the 4. That's a crazy looking candle on stablecoin dominance on that 4 hour. But same thing. I mean, this is an example of what it would look like to the opposite side, right? So you have previous day high. If I don't have it on there, it's just at previous day high. If stablecoin dominance, today in the next 3 hours closes below previous day high, I am looking for a move down here to the previous day low at least. But potentially, this is a big zone down here. Could be seeing a move down here into this low volume area, right? So we shall see. And look, I mean, it's basically the inverse of the Bitcoin chart. So if stablecoin dominance can come up all the way up here to this low volume area here, to me on the Bitcoin pair, that is equivalent to a move up near 72, 72 to 75, somewhere up here, right? If I'm looking at those, is essentially how I'm thinking about that. So we'll see. 3 hours. In 3 hours, we'll know. In 3 hours, we'll know if this is a valid setup or not. We don't know if it's going to stick or not because we don't have crystal balls. We don't know the future. But if the setup is valid, I'm willing to take it because I think it's, based on my experience, it's got a favorable chance of hitting, of actually working out. So I'm willing to play it. I'm absolutely willing to play it if it hits. Yeah, the daily close above 64K would be a good start. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. 64, what is it? 64092, I think, is the level we need to be for BTC. 60. Here, let's get that exact level. 64092 on the Binance chart. Binance spot chart, 64092. That's all I need. If we can get that, even if the next day comes down a little bit, overall, I'm looking for a move up to 67.5 and higher. Is essentially what I would be looking for. If we get that, that's my trigger to start positioning. All right, let's see. What do we have coming up on Wolf? Let's run through the roster here. Let's see what we got coming up here on Wolf. Today is Thursday. Oh shoot, no streams tonight. Okay, doesn't have anything tonight. I forgot Thursday. Thursday's the day when he doesn't have anything after me. I am the last scheduled show of the day, it looks like. Yeah. But tomorrow's Friday, so that means there is a trader talk show, a space at 11 a.m. Eastern, first thing in the morning tomorrow. So there will be one of those, and there is a 4 p.m. Eastern BTC and macro space with, it looks like, Milo and Wolf Financial on Twitter, on X. I guess I should say on Spaces as well. And I'm probably tomorrow, I think I'm going to run another one of these tomorrow. I don't know exactly when yet. I'm thinking it would be, I guess it would need to be. So it's either going to be at 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, right before the macro space starts and after the Trader Talk show is finished. So I'll probably run another one of these just to see if we get some, because we'll know tomorrow, right? By this time tomorrow, we'll know if that daily close hit, and we'll know if we're in action, potentially moving up towards those upper targets. So spaces start again at 90K. That's just hilarious. Crack me up. This guy's the biggest troll I've seen on CT, man. And then because of his accent, though, people they miss the sarcasm. They miss they miss his true nature of this guy, Man, he's brutal, though. He's brutal. Don't let the accent fool you, man. Ash is a savage. He's brutal. He's man. That guy will cut you. He'll cut you. You got to be careful. Got to have thick skin around that guy. Oh, man. All right, fellas. I think we're going to call it here, though. Not a whole lot is likely to happen between now and the close of the day. So we're going to call it. You guys know what levels I'm watching. We'll see if we get that. And if we do, tomorrow should be a fun stream. If we get that close today, I think tomorrow should be a fun stream for us to follow up on this and see if that plays out. We'll see how that ends up developing into tomorrow and over the weekend. Again, I mean, here's another way to think about it, right? Weekends are low liquidity environments. If we get this close today here and tomorrow we get some upside, that weekend low liquidity environment could be what gets you just chopping up over here, right? All that little chop that you need to come up into these areas and then get smacked back down next week when the markets open again. I mean, there's just, I don't know, there's a little bit of alignment of the stars there, if you will, in terms of the when this is happening, going into a weekend, giving enough time potentially to get one green day here, and then let the weekend low liquidity moves go a little bit higher, and then we smack them down next week with haste. Could be something like that. So, all right, guys, appreciate y'all. Once again, huge shout out to Public. Guys, go check out public.com/wolf, especially if you've got a portfolio that's sitting around somewhere and it's not yet offering you any kind of AI tools and options. You probably should be considering looking around. So go check out public.com/wolf, support the show sponsor. And as always, tune into everything and all things that are going on here at Wolf Bitcoin, Wolf Financial. There's always something happening, some kind of space, some kind of show, a lot going on here. So with that, appreciate you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.